Good morning. I can remember standing in the back of D Company during my freshman year with blue braces bulging out of my mouth, thinking it would be a long, long time before I would even think about writing my senior speech. But here I am today, about to give a speech about pursuing my happiness and what that means to me. As a freshman, I didn't necessarily believe that I could pursue my dream of becoming a director of Hollywood pictures. You see, when I came to STA, I was so honored to be in this school that I wanted to make my parents proud by doing something noble like going into the Naval Academy. Our parents have amazing goals and dreams for us to pursue. For example, my dad had a very strong vision that I would become a very famous football player, while my mom had the idea I would become the world's greatest breakdancer. But those were not my dreams or my purpose. I have my own dream. You see, my happiness comes from making films. So why do I want to become a filmmaker, you ask? Well, it's because it's my way of contributing to humanity. You see, I believe that one purpose of life is for us to be able to empathize with other people. And I believe that movies can bring forth that empathy from within us. The stories they tell allow us, the audience, deeper insight into the hopes, loves, and fears of other people. And my goal is to bring those stories to life, which will invoke compassion, reflection, and joy in my audiences. So how did I develop this love for filmmaking? Well, it all began with Tim Burton's Batman, introduced to me by a man 10 times stronger than me, but only half my height, my father, Ryan Williams. I was only 4 years old when I was first submerged in a world known as Gotham City, and from that moment on, I was hooked. I watched almost anything my parents would allow, and I fell in love with many great films and established favorites that would influence my work in years to come. Finally, at the age of 8 years old, I decided it was my turn to make a film. Now, I believe many of you in this room had collected Legos for a living when you were younger, and I too was one of your fellow brick brothers. So I decided to bring my Lego figures to life in the most brilliant way possible so the world could experience them as I imagined. So I used strings. I was able to make my figures walk and even fly. However, this wasn't an ideal method for filmmaking. That's when my parents stepped in to help me create, in my eyes, a gigantic mountain that would serve as the set for the greatest stop-motion Monster Mash video the world has ever seen. Not exactly. The film resulted in complete mush, but it was my first lesson in Production 101. So instead of mastering stop motion with my Legos, I decided I was ready to use real human actors, which allowed me to become the first star of my first film. Inspired by Eminem's song, Guilty Conscience, I decided to tell the story of a young boy making a moral decision. It was in the making of this film that my dad taught me the true basics of production, and which involved my first script, storyboard, and actors. I found myself pretty lucky to be getting film lessons from my dad, a California native who used to spend his childhood weekends at Universal Studios, dissecting every movie set. His influence on me has been significant. I thank him not only for the cinema secrets he has shared with me, but also for supporting me on this path to do what brings me joy. Our high school days have flown by, and our lives will do the same. So I ask you this: why not wake up to a job that brings you happiness? I can tell you that my parents don't necessarily love what they do every day. When my mom was younger, she wanted to become an animator for Disney, but never believed it was attainable. She's an amazingly talented artist to this day and acts as my personal executive producer for my films. This is also true for my dad, who has a deep passion for music. Till this day, he wonders where his career would have gone had he decided to pursue making music for a living. We all make choices in life, but in the end, our choices make us. The Goonies sum it all up when they say our moms and dads want the best stuff for us, but they got to do what's right for them because it's their game, it's their time. But down here, it's our time and our adventure and our rules and plans. So I encourage you to live your own adventure and pursue your happiness, because at the end of the day, you're either living your dream or the dream of someone else. I thank my parents for supporting me in what brings me happiness, and I hope to enrich the lives of my audiences with films that will allow people to connect and empathize with one another. I finally would like to thank St. Thomas Academy, both the staff and my fellow peers, for creating this awesome community that has shaped me into the man I am becoming. Thank you, and God bless.